Hello, friends. Welcome to the Couple Nurses podcast with your hosts, Matt Slarchik and Peter Findera.
What's up, guys?
We're a podcast where we tackle hot nursing topics one conversation at a time. We're going to have an awesome conversation today, guys. I'm really looking forward to it. But before that, if you're a new listener, thank you for coming. You guys are going to have a great listen. For returning users, thank you for listening. Keep subscribing, and please give us 5 stars, guys. We have over 3,000 downloads a month, and only 23 of you guys gave us a rating. We really appreciate if you guys smash that 5-star button because it helps us rank in the algorithm. We appear on search more often, and me and Peter get super motivated to keep on giving high quality content. Make sure you guys smash that and subscribe.
Super duper motivated. And don't forget, we got a YouTube channel, guys. Same name, Couple Nurses. Check us out. You can see how we actually look. I think I'm a pretty good looking guy, but you can judge me in the comments, I guess.
Yeah, I'd rate Peter pretty high up there, but that's for you guys to find out. So what are we talking about today, Petey?
Today, Matthew, we're going to talk about poop, the poop phenomenon, why our poop smells bad. We're going to go over some mistakes we've all made as a nurse, and we're going to talk about marijuana, what that means for you nurses out there.
It doesn't mean much, unfortunately, right? But we are going to cover that. And rookie mistakes, we all do them. Me and Peter have great stories how we dive into just shit and learn so much about it with what happens. And situations create you guys, and they create you to be a better nurse. So it's okay to make mistakes.
So as you guys all know, marijuana is greatly becoming legalized recreationally around our beautiful 50 states of the United States of America. But it is still federally illegal. So as nurses, where is the boundary? You want to smoke the devil's lettuce on a Sunday afternoon when you're off of work. What is that to you? Can you do it? Yeah, you could do it. But, your employer might have a different opinion on that. So there's no laws or regulations stating that your employers should, hire you or keep you, employed. So there's no law stating that, hey, it's okay for nurses to not pass a marijuana drug test. Right, Matthew?
Yeah, so there's zero tolerance, unfortunately, that all employers are reinforcing. Even if you have a medical card, there's still zero tolerance. And if you test positive, you might lose your license. So I wouldn't recommend it. I think it's great what people are doing, the way it's treating diseases. But we as nurses, just like PD said, it's not federally legal yet. And it has come a long way, right? It was a controlled one substance as heroin. So it finally kind of dropped down to where it's becoming legal, and I don't know how many states it is, but it's going to happen soon. I think all over America.
That's correct. I would say my advice for you guys is to treat it like alcohol. That's have it stay out of the workplace. You wouldn't come to work drunk. Don't come to work high. If you want to smoke marijuana on your days off or outside of work, more power to you. Go for it. If it helps you out in any kind of way, it is legal recreationally here in Illinois since January 1st. Hopefully, we're getting some nice tax dollars out of that, but we'll see. But you also got to be careful if you're looking for a new job, or if you are, currently employed, but maybe you go for a screening of some sort, that you don't want to, pee dirty. You don't want to have to do a urine test and have it show up positive for marijuana. And that's something you could easily avoid by just not smoking marijuana for 30 days or however long, whatever the science shows.
And the healthier you are, the quicker it could dissipate from urine if you were to smoke. And for those that are curious and do test positive, and that's a listener, there's a quick way to technically create a false negative on the drugs test. I would still try it yourself to see if it works before you go to a facility and do it. But you basically drink a gallon a day. And the reason how I found it is I read it has so much random crap. Truck drivers do this. And I know a friend that told me about this. I'm like, sure, I'll look it up. I love the human body. I think they drink a gallon of water a day. They take 20 grams of creatinine or creatine. And then they do vitamin B. So creatinine helps increase creatinine levels because you're diluting your urine so much, which is a test that they test for the urinalysis. And then you do vitamin B to kind of give you a yellow color in the urine so it doesn't look like it's completely diluted.
There you guys. Where else can you learn how to pass a drug test and learn nursing content at the same time? Huh? Nowhere else besides a couple nurses, guys.
Exactly. Thank you for tuning in for that one. But ultimately, man, if I were in that situation, I think I would just refuse the test itself, because if you're a nurse and you smoke, like it's not going to work out for you guys. Like, it's zero tolerance. So you might as well just walk out of your job, man.
Don't take the risk. Like, you might be cool with your boss, but that goes on your record. That's going to stay with you. Just because your boss is cool doesn't mean he's going to let it fly. So you got to be careful. And some employers, they don't always get along with their employees. I'm sure there's been times where someone's boss or someone's manager gave somebody a drug test because they knew they would fail it just to get out of work, and they're a great nurse. I'm sure that has happened before. But I drove by some dispensaries on my way home from the gym, and man, those lines are ridiculous here in Illinois. Those lines go like out the door and around the building's corner. These people are like desperate for this stuff. And I believe the stats show that I think Illinois made like 5 million. They made more in a week off marijuana sales than Colorado did in 3 weeks.
Wow. So it's definitely a hit in Illinois. I wonder if it's going to put people out of jobs, the people that are kind of like hustling the streets and making a living off this.
I mean, the drug dealers and the drug lords?
Yeah, those guys. Like, do you think they're going to still be out of a job? Or do you think supply and demand, like it's going to be, because I wonder if it's expensive or it's not worth it to even going to a pot shop to buy marijuana.
I'm not sure. I haven't entered any pot shops around here, but I'm sure I don't know how much it costs. I'm not sure if it's cheaper than your local dealer or not, but I'm sure if your dealer provides it for less, I'm sure he's still gonna have some kind of a fan base for his stuff. But I don't know. Like, a lot of people complain about marijuana being legal, but even if you're against marijuana, like, look at it from like the taxation standpoint, the financial standpoint. It's actually not that bad of an idea, especially here in Chicago, where we're like taxed to the neck. I'm hoping maybe these taxes off marijuana will kind of lessen the other taxes, which I doubt was going to happen.
And like, I think Chicago is so silly the way it does things. So there's something called the Amusement Tax Act. And if you play PlayStation, you have to pay a tax to Chicago that you like are playing online, which is ridiculous. So technically it's like going to the amusement park. They're using that as a loophole to tax poor freaking kids that are just playing PlayStation.
It's ridiculous.
So and like, to answer your question, I think Illinois is not going to lessen other taxes. Like, they just increase like the vehicle registrations and all that.
Hey man, but there is definitely like positives out of marijuana. Just because you don't want to do recreational, there are states that have it medically legal, where certain illnesses or certain diseases or disease processes are available to be treated with marijuana. Maybe you have a bad reaction to your anti-seizure medication. Maybe you could try marijuana. Maybe that'll lessen it. Maybe you don't want to get addicted to opioids or painkillers, or they constipate you too much, or you just don't feel like yourself on them. Marijuana is an option for different types of illnesses and issues.
And I think I was looking up a news article. They're making an implantable THC, like, there's like pain pumps that stimulate like your spine and it helps with the pain. They're making like implantable devices where you plant the THC and it dissolves and treats like chronic pain that's there. So I think there's gonna be some cool advancement, man. It's marijuana crossing over to the medical field. I mean, it's already like listed that it helps with like agitation for Alzheimer's. I'm sure there's a nurse that I know, and his wife takes it for bipolar. She stopped taking lithium and she's just on marijuana, and it's helping her manage her bipolar. So that's so cool how we're finding these ways that are not pharmaceutical, because pharmaceuticals aren't any better than recreational stuff, as we know.
See, my honest opinion with marijuana and other drugs is, if it helps somebody, like, why not just make it legal and just, even if it's like 1% or 2% or 0.5%, our drugs that we give out now are the pharmaceutical industry. It doesn't treat everybody, or treats everybody, but doesn't necessarily help everybody. Like, why not let this be another viable option of treatment? It just, marijuana gets like this association with like, like when you watch those commercials back in the day where I don't know, Sarah just like sinks into her couch and just becomes like brain dead. That's not how it works, man. It's not how the marijuana affects you mentally.
It's a bad rep that like marijuana developed over time, and we all associate it because it's like the power of belief, man. With TV, and isn't that crazy how like mind control works in a way? Like, dude, so basically whatever the TV tells you, you almost tend to believe. And marijuana had always that rep on TV that it's for like stoners and they're lazy, they don't do shit, they just eat and like watch TV. And we're all programmed to believe that. Look at our like parents, for example. What do you think they think? They think it's like the freaking sin, man. Like you can't be doing that stuff. It changes you as a person. And this is Polish culture, guys, for those that are listening.
That's true. It's the 21st century. We have the capabilities to genetically modify animals' DNA cells. We genetically modify marijuana. The marijuana that we have now is 100 times stronger than whatever they had back in the day. We can literally take two plants and, combine them to make them work in a specific way. Like we could genetically engineer marijuana to have it be more for pain, or have it be more for anti-seizures, or have it be more for appetite stimulation. Like we have the power to do this. Like there's different strains for different things. It's literally like a pharmacopoeia of effects. You just modify it whichever way you want.
And look at like, for example, like fibromyalgia. I'm sure it treats like chronic pain like that, because there's people that we're unable to associate why they're having chronic pain, muscle pain. And I'm sure it's related to so many things that I'm sure I could find online, but marijuana is a key for that one. So it's interesting how we're using it with what's it called, with patients, even like edibles, man. I wonder if they start giving edibles to like cancer patients to help with pain or something like that. Like it's all freaking coming, which is so exciting.
It is. It's cool. But for nurses out there, just be careful. It's still kind of iffy. You don't want to be positive for marijuana, because that could have negative outcomes. So just be careful. So take that 30 days off of marijuana if you're trying to start a new job, and if you're somebody you do on your Sunday afternoon, just go for it. I mean, as long as it's not harming anybody, don't come to work high, and just be safe, guys.
And if you partied the night before, had a wild night, and you took a hit of the joint, I recommend you. I'm pretty sure not going to get drunk this next week, but if you do, look up the whole gallon of water, some creatine, and some vitamin B12, and I think that might help you guys out.
Or you can rewind and figure out the exact steps that Matt has stated before. But guys, I'm sure you've, I don't know if you heard about it or not, but everyone poops. Everyone passes gas. Passing gas is completely normal. It's a key part of our life. Some people enjoy doing it more than others, but farts smell. They smell bad.
And word on the street is, for some reason, if your patient smells a specific way or has a GI bleed, somehow, I don't know if it's skin, I don't know if our skin breathes it in or whatever happens to the body, but somehow our gut bacteria picks up on that shit. And what happens is your farts start smelling like your patient sometimes when you come home. Do you have that situation happen, Peter?
That has happened to me a handful of times, especially if I get that patient has like a GI bleed, or someone on like C. diff precautions, or someone that has having diarrhea or just smelly poop. I don't know why, but it just transfers over to me. I'd be walking around, the crib, and just pass a little bit of gas. I'm like, damn, dude, it smells like Eugene's shit. Like, why does it smell like that? It smells like a GI bleed. I ain't GI bleeding, but if somebody that just smells just lingers in your intestines, and it's just, your farts smell like your patient's farts, and your farts smell like your patient's farts, and you know whose fart that is, or whose smell of fart that is.
And you have a nice little telepathic memory, like, mother freaking Eugene, you said, man. Damn, Bob, you ripped the freaking nasty one. Sometimes that even happens from like tube feeds, man. Like, you smell it, you smell the tube feeds, and sometimes that scent is just like so ingrained that like your freaking damn bacteria are producing it, man. It's almost like this. It's almost like this gut bacteria is like telepathic. I mean, we do say there's a mind-gut connection, but is there a connection with the mind and the gut where it starts mimicking the smell of the environment?
I'm not sure. I mean, when you smell something, you technically absorb it, right? And when the smell goes in your nose, is technically going throughout your body. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you breathe it in your lungs, respiratory pathway, your lungs get clean, like blood circulates through that eventually something gets maybe hooks up to like the lymph system, and it goes to your GI tract, and it gets put out that way. But I have no idea. I'm not sure if it has something to do with the smell, because when I looked at the research, there wasn't any kind of link with like you smelling stuff and your poop or your gas.
I'm thinking of a funny meme right now too. So to answer a quick question, have you ever farted in your patient's room?
I'm not gonna lie, I have farted more than once in a patient's room. I don't know why I didn't go to the bathroom, which was totally, probably the right thing to do. But sometimes you're just, hanging out in a patient's room. They're sedated.
Convenience. We got shit to do.
That's what I'm saying. You just happen to walk by. You're changing the patient. You're turning him. He's sedated, intubated. So you just let it rip, And I mean, I haven't had anybody frown or make any kind of facial expression like they smelt it or anything. So, and they're not gonna remember it because they're sedated. So, I mean, no harm, no foul, I guess.
It's true. It's kind of funny too when you're kind of like, as the patients get older, they have less like not that less respect, they just give a shit less about your opinion, and they're always like low key just let it rip and don't say anything, don't even say sorry. Even my grandpa, man, my freaking grandpa, like we're just like, I'm coming by chatting with him, just rips one. I look him in the face, he just pretends like nothing ever happened, man. It's funny.
Yeah, I don't know how that. Maybe it's like that they fart so often where they're like anal tone or whatever you have. Like maybe just anal tone is poor, where it's just they can't hold it in. It just whenever it has to come out, it just comes out, and it's just like it's so natural to them that these farts just keep coming out whenever they want to. It's just like a no big deal anymore because it's just what happens.
I really don't know why that happens, man. But there is something that we know that for sure does happen when it comes to the poop phenomenon. That's basically that your body's able to. Ooh, is that mine?
No, it's me.
Okay. Damn, PD, what a rookie mistake there. But we know that after eating, our like gut bacteria gets like to work to like dissolving this substance. And as it's breaking down nutrition, it's picking up the odors that basically eating specific foods, right, produces specific gases. So mostly these things are odorless, but if you're eating a lot of foods containing sulfur, they will give you a lot of gas. Anything with hydrogen sulfide and ammonia, right?
Yeah, so basically your red meats. Your red meats are high in sulfur. They have a lot of sulfur, and they're the ones that cause majority of the gas. And like Matt said, typically food that we eat is going to be odorless, but then if it has sulfur, it's going to have those atomic smells, which is unfortunate, but this is how it works. So a lot of times when people switch diets to like a keto diet, they increase their intake of meat, and that's why their farts tend to smell worse because they're eating a lot of sulfur containing meats. And same with like carnivore diets. Like if you're on an all meat diet, your farts are probably going to smell horrible because you're eating everything that's almost sulfur based. You're going to eat chicken, which isn't a red meat, but then you're also going to for sure have some beef, some pork, and then you're going to have like some nasty ones coming out of there.
So how we mentioned GI bleeds, which are smelling bad. Also smells bad, like when it comes to farts, is patients that are on the tube feeds, man. That stuff smells nasty. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that smells so bad. You had to tell me about it twice, huh? Yeah, man, tube feeds smell bad, and it's always loose, man. They always got some loose farts going on.
Like I had a patient, I was like a young kid, man, and he was like so malnourished with everything that was going on. They were doing like the trickling tube feeds and like loose BM from like, we love to give these patients if hospitals are basically fascinated by poop. And whether we like it or not, we always put patients on a bowel regimen, right? We always add colace, stool softeners, and they're so crazy even in Kaiser where they have everybody chart poop at least like once a shift. So poop is a big deal in the hospital, man. And I'm trying to see where my point is here. this freaking poop.
So much poop, huh? Poop everywhere. But I mean, just guys, just be mindful of what you eat. Basically, your diet's gonna be the cause of your poorly smelling farts.
I'm eating so much of them. Like I'm like, whoa, the crucivorous vegetables like broccoli, cabbage, all of them, onions, eggs, which are super, super healthy for you. Onions and garlic are one of like the top anti-cancer medications, or herbs, we should say. Beans, those are like the biggest culprits. So if you guys are consuming any of those, your bacteria is going to produce nasty gas, and also the artificial sweeteners. And I was so shocked when I found that stevia is on there, even though they're saying it's plant-based. Our body doesn't process it properly, right? Like the bacteria.
That's correct. And then one that we failed to mention, I'm not sure if you mentioned it or not, but the people that have intolerances or sensitivities to certain foods, like celiacs or gluten intolerance, obviously you're going to produce that bad gas because your body doesn't know how to break down these foods. And then these foods just kind of, they don't go through the proper processes. And also constipation. So when you're constipated and you can't poop, the gas just stays there and just builds up. And someone that might not smell when it comes out is now being trapped there, and it's just building on these odors. And then when it does come out, it's atomic level kind of stuff.
Just to let you guys know about Peter's expression that he did there. When you have those constipated patients, like, and they're there, I take care of them at work. I like to honestly put on a mask. It's not disrespectful. I know nurses that like double mask here. It's so funny. Like they even like put like I forgot what they say. They use a special powder. Or some people take toothpaste and they put a toothpaste in between the masks and then double mask it just so they don't smell things like the stoma or something when they're cleaning the patients.
That's a really good idea. What I do sometimes is I put coffee in the patient room, like coffee grounds.
Okay.
And I just, like when we boil coffee, I just take the paper thing and I put coffee and just put it in the patient's room, or I put it by the nurse's station, just because coffee sucks up the odor. Actually, I don't know what sucked it up or not, but coffee has a strong, it has a rich aroma, so that covers the smell. I think that works better than, because we have special spray that's like
ostomy sprays.
I don't know what it is, but it's like an odor limiter spray, which works fairly well too. But so usually I combine that with some coffee, and it smells a lot better than a GI bleed.
And for some people, you could even put coffee beans in your in the fridge, and it actually helps you with like odor, the stinky smell. But ultimately, you probably should clean your fridge at the end. But coffee is a great substitute for that.
Yeah, clean your fridge and clean your colon with some juices and some enemas. Clean your patient's colons.
And you know what's the worst sometimes? When they drink those magnesium citrate. So for people, because it's funny, because we talk to nurses and non-nurses, so I feel like I have to cover both sides. So if you're constipated and you really can't go buy some magnesium citrate. Magnesium literally helps like the stool. Is it like it really loosens up the intestines, and you really, really go. Patients smell like that too, man, when they get that, because they just get a run. Or sometimes you give them a few enemas for the colonoscopies. Man, they get the runs.
Or that drink. What is that drink called people get prior to a colonoscopy? I forgot what it's called.
Completely. It's like it has barium just to help with lighting everything up for the
no, the one that makes them poop. The one that makes them poop. What is that called? I forgot what's it called.
I gave it to a patient like a week ago. I'm just blanking out on the name.
Yeah, same. Well, in a hospital, when someone needs to go a procedure like colonoscopy to check for like polyps or maybe possibly a GI bleed, so they need to clean out that colon. They got to clean out those large intestines so like I actually see, so they can scope somebody, go down and see what's actually going on. And you can't do that if you have poop. So we give these patients is like it's like a liter. I think it's a liter or 2 liters. I forgot. It's been a while since I gave one. I think it's 2 liters. I think you give them 1 liter at a time, and they gotta drink it, which literally makes them go all night. Especially when you get a GI bleed and you give them this liquid. Man, you're in for a treat.
And the patients usually go like 3-4 times nonstop. Then if you have them on a med surg floor, it gets so much more tedious because, unfortunately, I feel like we have to baby patients sometimes in the hospital because of the fall risk. Like we cannot let them do anything. And sometimes the patients are stubborn. They get up, don't care because they got the shits and they could fall.
Oh, yeah. And then you got those patients that are intubated, sedated, and you come in and they're like ankle deep in poop. And you're just like, damn, here it goes. And it's like you change them once and then you get them all nice and ready. And then 2 hours later, bang, same thing. If I have someone with a GI bleed and I gave them that drink, whatever it's called, they're usually at least going 3 times, and that and there's so much in there because they're bleeding, so they're breaking down that blood. And plus, their tupues are probably off, but they have so much stool there and so much blood where it's just continuous, and it's just so much pooling in there.
I just thought about, so for some patients that have diarrhea and they have C. diff, sometimes we could put in an FMS, fecal management system, or Flexaseal. So I wonder, imagine putting them for the GI bleeds. I know it's probably contraindicated because they're bleeding, it can stuff something in their intestines, but that's actually a pretty good idea to prevent all that flow, man.
Well, the thing is I love Flexies, but the thing is that if it's not liquid, it does not work. Like if that stool is somewhat formed, then it's not going to work at all. You're just going to make things worse. It's going to clog it up if it's not liquid.
So I'm going to tell you, I'll be the devil's advocate here. I feel like it does work. Nurses don't properly take care of them. So meaning when you have this fecal management system, you're supposed to flush it with 40 cc's of fluid and irrigate it. A lot of nurses don't do that. I had a patient on med-surg floor that got brought up with the Flexaseal, and I asked the nurse, hey, did you flush it this shift? She's like, no. Well, because she was telling me it's thick. Well then, that's one problem. Second problem, the syringe wasn't even in the room. So who knows how long it's been since it's been irrigated. And then I had to call the ICU to get it tubed up because they didn't even carry them. So that's why I don't think people properly manage them too. I flush
my per shift because when those things work, man, it's a game changer, man. It's so good. When it works, I flush it. I make sure it works because when that thing comes out, it could be a whole ordeal, especially if they're on C. diff or any kind of precautions, and especially if they're liquid stool. And Flexi is like your best friend because that just drains. So I do make sure to flush mine every shift. Sometimes I do it twice, like before I leave. But yeah, but I don't know. For me, they only worked when it's literally like liquid, because once they start becoming a little thicker for me, I don't know why they don't work. They just fall out. Maybe my patients have like poor anal tone, maybe because they're just that sick. But I don't know. For me, if once it gets a little bit formed, it's a no-go.
There's also a device where, you know how like you could stick something onto the body, you could like connect a little bag with a drainage system, and it doesn't go in their butt fully to like inflate it. It goes outside of their butt and you just stick it onto them. But it doesn't really work that well.
Yeah. There's also rectal tubes, which if someone's like really, really liquidy and it just keeps going nonstop, and a Flexi isn't working, there's a rectal tube that goes in a little further and it looks like an actual Foley. Have you seen that before?
But like, is it the same one where you put on a finger and you stuff it in? I can't believe we're talking about this. So
it's the same concept, yeah, but it's just, I don't know how to explain it, but like, you know how you have a Flexi where the drainage bag, when it goes down, it's like thicker. It's like maybe like 2 or 3 inches. For the rectal tubes, it's literally like a Foley. The drainage is like a Foley. Yeah, it's like a Foley. It's that thin.
We'll look it up for the after show. And for those that are listening right now, we're actually creating a show on Patreon, which is going to be called The After Hours. And we're just going to kind of talk off script, talk more in depth with our stories that we do daily, because we can't share everything on the podcast and we have to be censored and we can't use the F word. And Peter loves the F word. So we're going to start implementing this, and maybe in a couple of weeks we'll release how to sign up for that.
Yeah, basically we just talk some shit after hours, and we'll just talk some shit for you guys. Sometimes it's funny. It's cool. I like talking shit.
So, it's always funny. Let's bounce into the rookie mistakes we've all made as a nurse, and let's talk about mistakes, because they do happen. And I think when you have a better outlook on things and you want to make mistakes and you're okay with it because failure creates and teaches you, then you're really going to enjoy the process. And that's the best way to learn as a nurse. Like, you could read a textbook on how to prime an A-line, which we're going to talk about, or, proper steps for tube feedings, but you're going to be tired, you're going to be exhausted, you're going to forget, and you just got to laugh about it and then make it a habit of not doing it again.
I think understanding that other nurses make mistakes, and by us giving these examples of mistakes that we've made, I feel like that makes nurses feel less guilty, and they don't feel as bad about themselves, because these mistakes do happen to everybody. It happens multiple times. So don't feel incompetent because you made a mistake. We're going to go over a handful of ones that I made, and it just happens. Like, you're not perfect. We're not perfect individuals, and we're not robots. So the first one that always happened to me at the beginning when I became a nurse is I always forgot to clamp my A-line. And man, like though, when you forget to clamp the A-line, usually you learn after your first time. But me being who I am, it took a few tries. But so in A-line, we know it's in your artery, so the pressure is high. So if you're trying to change out the tubing and you don't clamp, turn a stopcock and turn it off, that blood is going to shoot out, and it shoots out pretty quick. It's not a vein where it just slowly goes. No, it comes out, man.
And also, if you're drawing blood, if you turn it the wrong way and you don't catch yourself, you literally have blood coming out of your artery down the tubing and just shoots it right directly at you. And it's a freaking nasty scene. I seen when patients pull it out and you got blood squirting up to the damn wall, man, because that's how powerful your arteries are. It's crazy.
And you gotta be careful, because if you don't clamp it and you don't screw it on properly, and blood is leaking like around the cap, people can lose a lot of blood. People can lose blood. They're gonna lose blood pretty quickly, and it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be like a crime scene up in that room. But I mean, I've done so much A-lines now where I don't even clamp it anymore. I just do it real quick, because you get used to changing them, and you're just like, I'm gonna be a little risky today. I'm just gonna not clamp it and switch it out real quick.
That's awesome. I'm kind of jealous because I have not taken care of an A-line since I've been on a contract for over 2 months. I'm just not getting these patients, man. But what I do get a lot is like forgetting to clamp the damn NG. Or that happened to me as like, it happens even right now with tube feedings because they're so tedious, or you forget to press hold. But like sometimes you clamp it and you're trying to give medication, and you're just pushing till it doesn't work, and you just squirts back at you, literally all over your face or gown or whatever you have, and that sucks.
That happened to me one time, and I learned my lesson. You clamp that thing and just like, this thing going in, and it's not clogged because you used it before, or you think it's clogged, and you're just like, I'm going to keep using pressure, and you push it and go, shoots you right in the face. Or sometimes what happened to me before was I left it unclamped and didn't hook up the tube feeding, and all the GI contents came out.
Ooh.
Yeah, all that tube feed that he got for the past couple hours came out. Another thing with NG tubes or G tubes is there was one time it happened to me where I forgot to unclamp it and hook up the tube feeding, or I didn't unclamp it fully and it was still clamped, and the tube feeding got disconnected. The pressure was building up, and it's just enough pressure to make it pop out. Now that tube feeding went into the bed, and I had to change the sheets. It's pain in the ass.
When I was in my ICU clinical, this is even before nursing, like I literally did that where it was clamped, shot out, and it was literally a pool of freaking tube feed, the pillow dripping down the freaking room. And my instructor was crazy all the time. Like he just like always like was eyeing me, and he challenged me, and I'm just like, whoa, I got so nervous, heart rate started sweating, and I made a big deal out of it. Well, and then a nurse came in, oh, it's not a big deal. And she kind of relaxed me a little bit because I was like freaking out as a new grad.
Yeah, probably the scariest mistake I have ever done as a nurse is so with these swines, we get these thick intros where they're not like your typical looking central line. It's a little thicker. Maybe it has like 1 or 2 cc's more than like your regular line. And I disconnected the neo, and without thinking that there is still neo left in the line, I flushed it with like a saline flush. And neo is a pressor. The patient's pressure shot up. Alarm started going off. People ran it because it was like 200s over like 110s. I was like, fuck my lip. I was like, damn. That sucks, man. Like I was so nervous, and like nurse practitioners came and was like, everything okay? I'm like, yeah, I just flushed a line full of neo. Mm-hmm. And they're like, all right, you just gotta be careful next time. Like just watch out with your pressures. I'm like, yeah, I mean, damn. And it took a minute for the pressure to come down, man. It took like a solid probably like 30, 40 seconds of me looking at the pressure, having it show that in the 200s, 210s, 215s. I was like, this guy's going to stroke out on me. I'm going to get fired. I'm losing my license. And if I slowly came down, I was like, all right, dude, never again, man. I'm going to go home now.
Yeah. And sometimes if you have a line of levo, you have to just draw the blood back and get rid of it out of the tubing itself. But even if you accidentally flush it, even on a blood pressure cuff, you'll see that because within 15 minutes or something, you'll see that pressure high, or you'll see their change in their heart rate. They're going to get very tachycardic because of the levo. Another one is like forgetting to detach the pressure bag. when you're like spiking it or changing the tubing, sometimes that will freaking shoot out on you, which is hilarious.
I've never had that happen to me, but for my pressure bags, I always inflate them before I spike it, and people always come up to me are like, "Why are you inflating it before you spike? You know, like it could shoot out." It hasn't happened to me. Yet, but I've seen it happen to nurses, and like the pressure bag, you know, it's pressurized, so it's probably pressurized to, I'm not sure what the exact number is, but it's putting out like about, I think, 3 cc's an hour. I believe that's like the rough estimate. But yeah, so yeah, when you spike it and it doesn't spike properly, or you don't fully get it in, there's pressure, so it just shoots down and a hole through your bag comes out.
I don't know if you've ever done that before. Like sometimes when you're very, very tired and sometimes you don't look at your tubings, you'll connect that antibiotic too, and you don't even realize it's connected. It just like leaked. Or you connect a antibiotic to the secondary, you didn't realize that it's not connected, and just starts pouring on the floor if it's not clamped.
Right, that happened to me a handful of times too. Or you have them hang at the same length, then the saline starts going into your antibiotic, and you're just like, why is this filling up? Like, oh damn, I didn't clamp it.
Yeah, that happens. Or running the pump, forgetting that it's clamped, and you look up, you're like, oh shit, it's been an hour, but the antibiotic is still there, and I have another one to go, and now you're kind of like, you're behind, and it sucks, and it's all part of learning, man. It's funny.
Yeah, happens to all of us. There's been a handful of times where I went into the room and there's still a full antibiotic hanging. I'm like, hey, you didn't unclamp it. They're like, oh shit, sorry. I'm like, yeah, it's all good. Just run it right now, I guess.
It just makes it look bad sometimes. Even like yesterday, like I didn't check my orders properly, where there was a Levo order, and it's a little different here because they titrate Levo by mics per kg. They don't do it like mics per minute per hour or whatever, where it's like you're titrating from 1 mic to 20. It's a little different here. You go like 0.05. That's how you start titrating it.
Really?
Anyways, it's very, very strange. But the weight changed. So they ordered Levo twice. The pharmacist originally had it for 90 kilograms. And if you're in the ICU and it's handoff of care, you have to hand off the rate. So you scan the bag and you're verifying the weight of the Levo. And it was off by like 10 kilograms all night. And I felt bad because I was orienting the travel nurse.
It happens, sometimes just sometimes you've been doing this for so long, you kind of just do an autopilot and you don't realize what you're doing, or you don't always fully check everything, and things slip off, and this happens. It's crazy to think about that in your medical field where you're dealing with human beings and their lives, but mistakes do happen, and this is how it works.
And this nurse was very chill. She was understanding, and it's fine. It's okay. The main thing is that you're titrating the medication up as the blood pressure is dropping. So technically you're still doing the purpose of the medication. It was just like off by a few units, which is not life and death in this case because you're troubleshooting. Another one I wanted to mention is, this is probably for males or females both, is putting the Foley catheters in the females. I feel like as a rookie, sometimes it takes a couple try, or sometimes you go into the vagina hole by accident and you have to get another kit because technically it's not sterile anymore. Or technically it is not sterile anymore.
What I recommend for that is to leave that in a vagina. Just leave that Foley in the vagina and then grab another Foley, and then that way it's easier for you to get in the urethra because there's already a Foley in the vagina. So instead of pulling it out, just leave it in there up until you get it in the urethra. Because sometimes it's hard. Sometimes just the anatomy, especially if you got like a heavier set woman, it's just hard to find, and it takes a few tries.
I would also mention PICC lines, sometimes forgetting to do little things, which gets tedious, forgetting to do the caps. PICC lines, not so much. Let's see. I'm trying to think how else I may have made mistakes as a new nurse.
I think that's all the ideas I have for now. I'm sure I've made plenty of more mistakes, but I guess sometimes people hang the wrong drips, especially if it's like, because some medications are light sensitive, so they have that brown bag over them. I'm not sure how to do it in your hospital, but for us, some are light sensitive where you got to have that brown bag over them because they don't last as long when the light hits it. So nurses have grabbed a wrong medication just because it's in a brown bag, and sometimes they grab like a epi instead of a Levo, and it's just happens.
I've also made like a mini med air and it was reported, where I I wasn't checking the orders. Sometimes things fall off the MAR, but you could still scan them. And it was vancomycin where I underdosed the patient technically, which is still an error. Instead of giving like 1.75 grams, it was 1 gram. And the pharmacist like last minute reordered it, didn't notice. And I was even orienting and I had to tell my but my preceptor. And I kind of felt so shitty about it, but that was my first time where I'm just like, okay, it's okay. It happens, Matt. You're learning, like loosen up on yourself.
It happens, man. Like, don't feel bad about it, guys. Like, nurses make mistakes. Some mistakes are, more costly than others, but, mistakes do happen. Just be a little bit more vigilant and just try to, be aware of what you're doing. Don't always be in autopilot. Just be a little bit more vigilant.
So let's wrap up this episode. How do you feel? You feel ready for that one?
Ready for what?
Ready to go. A lot of poop talk. You got to pass some gas?
No, I'm actually okay. I have a nice bowel movement today, so I'm chilling right now. I'm good.
It's funny, in this hospital, they go so crazy about bowel movements. You have to chart 0 like every couple hours or at least once per shift.
Really?
Yeah, they're very anal about it. Like if
they want you to chart 1 bowel movement per shift.
Like if they didn't go, at least put 0.
Oh, okay. I thought it's like they want to poop in once per shift. I'm like, dude,
that'd be a lot of work, man. That'd be a whole thing on the side of taking care of your patient. Hey, did he poop today? Okay, well, let's get some colace. Let's do an enema. Maybe in 2 hours. That'd be pretty intense.
That would be very intense. You want to wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up, boy.
All right, guys. Well, hey guys. So today we talked about the poop phenomenon. Why our poop smells like our patient's poop. Why our poop smells like a GI bleed, even though we're not GI bleeding. It's due to the foods you eat. A lot of sulfur-containing foods make the smelly odors. We talked about there's some mistakes we've made and that other nurses have for sure made themselves. And let's talk about marijuana. Go ahead.
Marijuana, about why you can't smoke, unfortunately, as a nurse because it's not on a federal level. And if you do try, don't tell your job if you're about to take a drug test. And also, we talked about how to pass a drug test by manipulating things like taking some creatinine, drinking a lot of water. Well, you have to listen to the full episode to learn about that.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one, guys. Peace out.
See you guys next week.